Heineken has posted a rise in profit and revenue and reiterated its full-year profit expectations despite weakness in some developing markets and increasing currency headwinds. Delighted to welcome back to Squawk Box Jean-Francois van Boxmeer, who's the CEO of Heineken. Sir, very good to see you today. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. What were the highlights and what were the lowlights?
The highlights is that we performed well in volume, revenue and profits. Yeah, I would say the downside is our subdued performance in Africa and the Middle East, but that's largely balanced by good performance in Europe, Americas and Asia.
How concerned are you about areas such as Nigeria, which were such stalwarts of growth for you?
Well, it has been an uninterrupted growth story for the last 11 years. I think the very low oil prices are at the basis of Nigeria's turmoil, I would say. The same is true for Russia. One day it will restore, we have to hope that. But meanwhile, perspective is a bit subdued, but they are holding up pretty well over there. And we are facing some headwinds of the currencies. The market is holding up pretty well, I must admit. But of course, people will grab for the cheaper beers in our assortment rather than the premium beers, and that will last for a number of months to come, and we have only to pray, if you will, for higher oil prices. But we remain on the medium and the long term very optimistic about our investments in Africa, because the growing middle classes are a phenomenon to stay, urbanization, a rapid demographic growth. All that together makes that the African and Middle East regions remain growth areas for Heineken in the medium and the long term.
Jean-Francois, we've talked a lot previously about the M&A in the sector, and the raison d'etre from the sector, whether it was InBev or SAB or yourselves, was we have to kind of carry on growing, we have to do this to get economies of scale. Are you being left behind by InBev now, given what's going on with SAB? I know the family is going to be very happy with their 50% stake being up 18% over last year. I know FEMSA are going to be very happy as well. But does the family and FEMSA and other shareholders put it upon you at the moment to get involved in more M&A?
No, I'm not going to start to make any speculations about further moves in M&A, but to respond to your question, the deal ABI-SAB is a very big deal, obviously. But we compete on a market-by-market basis, and if you look at the market-by-market, nothing really changed. What really changed is the ownership of SAB and the fact that it is now ABI who will operate their business in Africa, and we will see how that will pan out. But we are the second largest brewer in the world. We have the Heineken brand, which is the most international beer brand in the world. We have our own policy. We have a very large geographic coverage. We have an above average presence in the premium segment. Those are all strengths, which makes us believe that we will continue to happily grow as an independent company. Some more M&A will, of course, come, but there I'm not going to speculate on it.
So interesting that the Brexit outcome and the drop in the pound made things a little hairy for the folk over at AB InBev, re their SAB Miller deal here. What impact for Heineken from the Brexit story so far and the fall in the pound?
Well, the pound will have a translational effect on our results. We report in euros, so the pound going forward has been factored in at a lower rate than it was. Short term, our business was not impacted by the Brexit as we see it. Long term, it's very difficult to predict. The process to the actual Brexit will be a lengthy one, most probably a bumpy one. I hope for a good outcome, and for Britain and for Europe, as we all hope, obviously, but there will be some volatility going forward there. The pessimistic scenario would be a recession for the UK, but I would not bank that as a certainty. And the UK for us is a very important market, and going forward we will continue to support that market. And we consider Heineken UK as being totally integrated in our European operations. The UK is also home to our cider business, and that cider business is rolling over the world, and it's based in the UK. So the UK will continue to be an important country for us. And do not forget, we have had the financial crisis in 2008, 2009. We have seen really, I think, already very ugly stuff before. So I just am confident in the future of our business over there.
Talking about ugly stuff, you are involved once again, I think, in the Holland House in Rio for the Olympics. But so much of this build-up to this Olympics in Rio has been dominated by scandal around doping and by concerns around crime, concerns around this virus and what the implications of that could be, the Zika virus. Do you think Rio is going to be a success, or are you concerned that in some way it may tarnish the image of Heineken if it doesn't run well?
I don't think it will tarnish the image of Heineken. Heineken, its presence in Rio is limited to the Holland Heineken House, as we call it. We have been for ages supporting the Dutch Olympic team and sponsoring the Athletic House together with the Dutch Olympic Committee. We do that again this year, so we will be there, and I will be there. And next week in Rio. I just hope that the games will be good games, and because I think that is what all the athletes who are participating to these games are hoping for. And I wish them all the best, and I will watch it live over there.
Yeah, absolutely. Jean-Francois, great to speak to you again, sir. Thank you for your time. Jean-Francois van Boxmeer, who's the CEO of Heineken.